What no one tells you about pleasure. After 60, you don't talk about it at the dinner table. You don't bring it up with your kids. And you certainly don't ask your doctor about it unless something goes terribly wrong. But here's the truth. There's a quiet, private part of aging that almost every man experiences, yet few ever understand. I'm talking about solo pleasure. Masturbation. A word that still makes some men uncomfortable, even at 70. But let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that what once felt natural now feels different? That what once brought relief now sometimes brings discomfort, urgency, or even pain? If you've ever asked yourself, is this still okay for me? Or, why does it feel so different now? You're not alone. And no, it's not just in your head. As a medical doctor who has spent decades caring for older men, I've seen what aging does to the nervous system, the prostate, the pelvic floor, and emotional health. Especially when it comes to sexuality and private routines no one talks about. And that silence? It's costing many men their comfort, confidence, and even their health. Because while pleasure is ageless, the way your body responds to it is not. In this video, we're going to uncover the 5 biggest mistakes older men make when it comes to masturbation. Habits that seem harmless, but can actually harm your prostate, weaken your bladder, confuse your nervous system, and leave you feeling worse instead of better. No judgment. No embarrassment. Just science, real talk, and strategies that work with your body, not against it. So if you care about protecting your independence, your sleep, your bathroom habits, and your private life in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, don't look away. What you learn in the next few minutes could quietly save your quality of life. Chapter 1. How your body changes after 60, and why it matters. In the bedroom too. You've lived a full life, worked hard, built a family, faced stress, joy, success, failure, and you've adapted every step of the way. But there's one shift that most men never see coming. Your body's relationship with arousal, touch, and release begins to change in ways no one warned you about. This isn't just about sex. This is about your nervous system, your hormones, your circulatory flow, and even your emotional wiring. And here's the kicker. Most men notice the changes, but misinterpret them. They blame themselves. They feel embarrassed, or frustrated, or ashamed. They think, maybe I'm broken. Maybe I'm too old for this. But the truth is far more empowering. You're not broken. You're just aging, and your body is asking for a new approach. Let's start with hormones. Testosterone isn't what it used to be. By your 60s, your testosterone levels have likely dropped 30–50% compared to your 20s. That matters not just for muscle mass or mood, but for sexual function, arousal, and sensitivity. Testosterone isn't a sex hormone in isolation. It regulates libido, erectile tissue response, prostate health, and even pelvic muscle tone. And as it drops, so does your body's ability to switch on pleasure as quickly or as strongly as before. It's not your fault. It's your biology. But that means your methods have to evolve too. Your circulation isn't the same either. Blood flow is everything when it comes to arousal. And the vascular system after 60 simply doesn't perform like it used to. Plaque buildup in the arteries, atherosclerosis, common even in healthy men, can reduce the responsiveness of erectile tissue. Your hands, your legs, your feet, they all get colder, right? Now imagine that same reduced blood supply affecting your sexual organs. If you've ever noticed that it takes longer to feel aroused or longer to climax, that's not psychological, that's physics. And if you're gripping too tightly or moving too quickly to compensate, you could be doing more harm than good, especially to the prostate. Nerves age, too, and it changes sensation. Your nervous system is also slowing down. It takes more time for signals to travel, more pressure to trigger the same sensations, and more effort to maintain rhythm or focus. That's why some men report that their usual routine doesn't work anymore, or that they need more intense stimulation to feel the same result. But pushing harder doesn't always help. In fact, overstimulation can cause nerve desensitization, which means your body becomes less responsive over time no more. You're not failing. Your brain and body are simply not on the same speed dial they once were. The prostate, aging's silent messenger. The prostate doesn't get enough attention until something goes wrong. By age 60, more than half of men already show signs of benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, or enlarged prostate. And that changes the game. Urine flow weakens. Ejaculation feels different. Pressure builds in the pelvis. And sometimes, there's post-release discomfort, or a sense of not being empty. If you've ever felt a dull ache after release, if you've noticed you wake up more often to urinate, or if your flow isn't what it used to be, your prostate is speaking. The question is, are you listening? When, emotions and anxiety. The mind-body trap. Let's be real. Sexual performance, even in private, is deeply tied to identity, confidence, and self-image. And when things begin to change, so does the mind. Some men feel anxious. Some rush through the experience just to prove they still can. Others avoid it altogether, afraid of failure, discomfort, or the unknown. But this is where most men miss the mark. What your body needs now is not performance. It's connection. It's curiosity. It's care. When you approach your own pleasure like you would treat a partner, with patience, presence, and attention, your body responds in a completely different way. So what now? Now that you know how much has changed, it's time to adjust your approach. You wouldn't lift weights the same way you did at 30. You wouldn't expect to sprint like you did in college. Why expect your private life to stay exactly the same? The next chapters will show you how to work with your aging body so that pleasure becomes sustainable, satisfying, and safe. Because while aging may change your body, it doesn't have to take your joy. Chapter 2. The 5 most dangerous masturbation mistakes men over 60 make, and what they're really doing to your body. You've probably heard the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But when it comes to your body at 60, 70, or 80, ignoring small warning signs is exactly how things do break. What used to be harmless at 30 can now lead to serious consequences if done the same way at 70. So let's break down the 5 most common mistakes men make during masturbation in later life. Not to shame or scare, but to help you protect your health, your comfort, and your independence. Mistake 1. Holding your urine before or during stimulation. You feel the urge to go, but you hold it in. Maybe it's habit. Maybe it's convenience. Maybe it's just not wanting to interrupt the moment. But here's the reality. After 60, your bladder is not what it used to be. It holds less. It empties more slowly. And it becomes more sensitive to pressure. During arousal or climax, intra-abdominal pressure increases. If the bladder is full, this pressure can push urine backward into the urethra or worse, cause residual pooling that leads to infection. A full bladder under pressure is a breeding ground for urinary tract infections, UTIs. And the friction from stimulation only makes the tissues more vulnerable. Clinical case. Carl, 77, came in worried he had prostate cancer, burning urination. Urgency. Nighttime leakage. Turns out, he was just regularly holding his urine before solo activity. The solution? Emptying before, and all symptoms disappeared. Bottom line. Always go to the bathroom first. It's not just comfort, it's protection. Mistake 2. Using a tight grip and fast motion. This one is so common, it's practically silent. You want intensity. You want control. You want to feel something, anything. But here's the danger. Too much pressure rewires the brain. Over time, repeated high-intensity stimulation, especially with a tight grip, can cause nerve desensitization. The same way loud noise dulls your hearing, excessive pressure dulls your ability to feel natural pleasure. There's even an unofficial term for it, death grip syndrome. It's not a disease, but it's real. And it's more common than you think. Clinical case. Henry, 69, hadn't been intimate with his wife in nearly 2 years, not because he didn't want to, but because his body no longer responded to soft, natural touch. His brain had been trained to only react to one very intense, very specific kind of stimulation. He wasn't broken. He was conditioned. Fast motion also puts your cardiovascular system under strain. Elevated heart rate, blood pressure spikes, even arrhythmias, these aren't harmless in your 70s. Solution? Loosen your grip. Slow your pace. Let sensation build gradually. Treat pleasure like a conversation, not a sprint. Mistake 3. Ignoring prostate warning signs. Most men don't think about their prostate until it screams. But here's the truth. The prostate whispers first. Pain during or after orgasm. A dull ache in the pelvis or behind the scrotum. Frequent nighttime urination. Weaker stream. Feeling like you never fully empty. These aren't just getting older. They're red flags. Clinical case. Tom, 74, ignored his pain for nearly a year. He assumed it was normal aging. He continued masturbating, hoping it would just go away. By the time he got checked, he had chronic prostatitis, which could have been avoided with early rest and treatment. The danger? When the prostate is inflamed, any added friction or pressure can worsen the condition. It's like walking on a sprained ankle, it never heals. If it hurts, stop. If you're unsure, check with your doctor. Silence isn't strength, it's risk. Mistake 4. Using harmful lubricants, tools, or improvised devices. Not everything that slides glides safely. Many older men use lotions, oils, or objects they found at home without checking what's in them or what they were made for. Here's the danger. Aging skin is thinner and more fragile. Chemical irritants, like alcohol, parabens, or artificial fragrance, can cause rashes or burns. Improvised objects or pressure tools can cause microtears, infections, and blood vessel damage. Clinical case. Walter, 68, used a homemade device for years until one day he didn't heal. He ended up in the ER with a painful lesion that took 3 months to recover. Even sex toys can be dangerous if not cleaned properly. Older adults have slower healing and weaker immune defenses. Bacteria love warmth, moisture, and skin tears. Safer alternatives? Use natural, chemical-free lubricants. Avoid anything tight, sharp, or rigid. Stick with body-safe materials. And when in doubt, ask a professional. Yes, even for this. Mistake 5. Masturbating right before sleep without recovery. Here's something almost no one talks about. What you do before bed directly affects how your body recovers overnight. Masturbation causes a physiological shift, hormones fluctuate. The nervous system rebalances. The prostate contracts, then relaxes. If you climax and immediately fall asleep, circulation slows. Hormone cycling is disrupted. You may feel groggy, tight, or sore in the morning. Pelvic congestion can build, especially in men with prostate issues. Clinical case. Dennis, 73, always woke up with low back pain and pelvic soreness. Turns out, he was masturbating while lying down, then falling asleep without moving. Once he added 15 minutes of light movement and hydration after, the pain vanished. Post-activity recovery matters. Stretch. Walk a bit. Drink water. Breathe deeply. Let your body return to baseline. Treat it like a workout. Cool down. Better sleep, plus better recovery. Final thoughts for Chapter 2. These aren't just habits. They're health decisions. And in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, small adjustments can prevent infection, inflammation, desensitization, emotional distress, long-term prostate damage. Pleasure doesn't have to end, but it has to evolve. Chapter 3. A Doctor's Guide to Masturbating Safely. After 60. Let's be clear. Masturbation in old age is not wrong. It's not dangerous. It's not shameful. But just like driving, eating, or exercising, what once worked on autopilot now requires a new kind of awareness. So, if you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, and still want a private life that's pleasurable, healthy, and free of regret. Here's how to approach it like your future depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Step 1. Time it right. Match your rhythm to your biology. Forget the idea that there's a perfect time to pleasure yourself. The key is, listen to your energy, not your habits. Morning versus evening. Morning. Testosterone is typically higher, making arousal easier and recovery faster. Evening. May feel relaxing, but risks pelvic congestion and poorer sleep if done right before bed. Doctor's advice. Avoid solo activity within 30 minutes of lying down. If you do choose to go there at night, give yourself a cool-down, routine hydration, movement, and deep breathing. Step 2. Empty your bladder first, always. This might sound obvious, but it's one of the most overlooked safety steps. A full bladder during sexual stimulation can increase the risk of urinary retention, aggravate an already enlarged prostate, create pressure that leads to infections. Your new rule: go to the bathroom first. Always. Even if you don't feel full. Think of it as clearing the runway before takeoff. Step 3. Use gentle touch. Ditch the old routine. Your younger self might have relied on speed and pressure. But today, your nerves, tissues, and circulatory system want something else entirely. Gentler grip. Slower rhythm. Mindful pacing. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Think of it like tuning a fine instrument. You're not pounding a drum. You're coaxing a violin. Try this instead. Use your whole hand, not just the fingers. Switch from vertical to circular motion. Explore slower, rhythmic breathing. Focus on sensations, not finish lines. Step 4. Choose the right environment. It's not just about what you do. Where you do it matters. A calm, clean, private environment reduces anxiety and improves focus. Avoid cold bathrooms, cluttered spaces, or places where you feel rushed or exposed. Light a soft lamp. Play music. Sit comfortably. You're creating a safe space for your body and your brain. Step 5. Use body, safe lubricants, and only the right tools. Older skin, thinner skin, more risk of injury. You cannot afford to use random oils, lotions, or homemade tools anymore. Look for lubricants that are water-based or natural, like aloe or coconut oil, if not allergic. Free from parabens, alcohols, or synthetic scents. Specifically labeled as intimate, safe. Avoid tools or devices not designed for the genitals. If you use sex toys, clean them thoroughly and avoid anything tight, rigid, or untested. Warning sign. If you ever feel burning, numbness, or notice small tears, stop immediately. A few minutes of pleasure should never cost you weeks of healing. Step 6. Watch your breathing. Your nervous system depends on it. Most men don't realize how much breath affects sensation. Short, shallow breaths increase tension. Long, deep breathing enhances pleasure, circulation, and parasympathetic recovery. Doctor's tip: match each stroke with a slow exhale. Take breaks to inhale deeply through your nose and exhale through your mouth. This lowers heart rate, regulates blood pressure, and keeps the experience balanced. Step 7. Recover like an athlete. You wouldn't run a mile and collapse into bed. So don't climax and immediately shut down either. Your new cool down: 10 minutes of light walking or stretching. A full glass of water. Deep breathing or meditation. Gentle pelvic floor relaxation. Not Kegels, just awareness. Why? Because your prostate and pelvic floor need time to normalize pressure. Skipping this step often leads to that sore lower back or aching groin the next morning. Step 8. Watch for warning signs. Here's your internal checklist. If you notice any of the following, it's time to restore. Call your doctor. Pain or pressure in the pelvis or rectum. Burning during urination. Frequent night urination. Weak urine stream. Blood in semen or urine. Erectile pain. Loss of sensitivity. These aren't just age. They're your body saying, slow down, I need support. Step 9. Let go of performance. Focus on connection. At this stage of life, pleasure is less about performance and more about presence. Forget old goals. Forget the clock. Give yourself permission to feel. What matters isn't the intensity, it's the quality of connection with your body. Whether you climax or not isn't the point. The point is, you listened. You cared. You supported yourself. And that's what real health looks like. Final reminder for Chapter 3. Pleasure isn't a youthful privilege. It's a lifelong right as long as it's done with awareness, respect, and wisdom. You don't need to give up your private joy. You just need to update the operating manual. Chapter 4. The aging prostate and the nervous system. What every older man needs to understand. You can't see it in the mirror. You don't feel it unless it misfires. And yet your prostate and your nervous system quietly control one of the most vital parts of your identity as a man. What happens to them after 60? More than most men ever realize. Let's dive deep into the systems that define sensation, control urination, regulate hormones, and shape how your body responds to stimulation. Because once you understand what's happening inside, you'll stop blaming yourself and start working with your body, not against it. Your nervous system. The conductor of pleasure and control. Your nervous system is like the master switchboard. It receives, interprets, and sends signals between your brain and your body. But after 60, it doesn't move as fast. Nerve conduction slows down. Signals take longer to travel. Sensory nerves lose sensitivity. More input is needed to feel the same sensation. Autonomic regulation weakens. Harder to manage heart rate, blood pressure, and pelvic reflexes. This means it takes longer to feel aroused. It's harder to maintain stimulation. The orgasm reflex may feel muted or delayed. Recovery afterward takes longer. And any disruption like stress, anxiety, or inflammation hits harder. Doctor's insight. The same way you can't sprint without warming up, you can't expect your sexual reflexes to perform without patience. Every signal is slower, and every interruption, a bad thought, a discomfort, a noise, becomes a bigger obstacle. This is not dysfunction. It's deceleration. And you can learn to move with it if you stop expecting your 25-year-old self to show up. Testosterone and hormones. The slow fade you didn't see coming. By age 70, the average man has 40-60% less testosterone than he did at 25. This affects more than libido. It influences blood flow, tissue repair, sperm production, mood and motivation, energy levels, pelvic muscle tone. As testosterone drops, erections become softer or take longer to develop. Recovery time increases. Muscle around the prostate weakens. Prostate gland may grow in size. BPH. Fatigue or apathy can dull arousal. Hormonal reality check. This isn't about manhood. It's about biology. And no supplement or internet cure can replace what your body naturally slows down. But you can adapt with the right expectations and habits. Parasympathetic versus sympathetic systems. The balancing act. Your sexual function depends on two opposing systems. Sympathetic, fight or flight, controls ejaculation, tension, stress. Parasympathetic, rest and digest, controls arousal, blood flow, erection, relaxation. In youth, these systems shift fluidly. In older age, the parasympathetic response becomes sluggish, while the sympathetic system, tension and stress dominates. This means you feel more anxious. You tense up more easily. Your arousal fades faster under pressure. Your climax may come too quickly or not at all. You may feel tired or restless after climax instead of satisfied. Doctor strategy. The key is to enhance parasympathetic tone, deep breathing, gentle touch, relaxed environments, longer build-up time, no rushing. The more relaxed your nervous system, the better your pleasure, and the more your prostate stays calm and cooperative. The aging prostate, quiet growth, big consequences. Now, let's talk about the star of the show, your prostate. That small walnut-sized gland just below the bladder and right in the middle of your entire sexual system. With age, most men experience benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, a non-cancerous enlargement of the prostate. By age 60, 50% of men have symptoms. By age 80, 90% do. What happens when the prostate enlarges? Urethra gets squeezed. Weaker urine stream. Bladder compensates, urgency, nighttime urination. Ejaculation changes, reduced volume, delayed or painful release. Pelvic tension rises. Discomfort during sitting or bowel movements. Prostate becomes inflamed. Easier to irritate with friction or pressure. Prostate warning signs. Burning after climax. Post-urination dribbling. Sudden urges to urinate. Pelvic or rectal pressure. Dull ache behind scrotum. Feeling incomplete after urinating. These are not inconveniences. They're messages, and ignoring them while continuing high-friction masturbation can trigger chronic prostatitis, bladder damage, emotional stress, sexual withdrawal. So what can you do about it? Start by listening. Ease pressure. Use less force. Respect warning signs. Adjust your position sitting upright or standing instead of lying down. Hydrate and empty your bladder before. Stretch and breathe afterward. If symptoms persist, see your doctor. There are gentle treatments for BPH, prostatitis, and age-related sexual changes, but only if you catch them early. Your prostate isn't your enemy. It's a guardian, and it deserves your attention now more than ever. Recap for Chapter 4. Your nervous system slows but still works beautifully with care. Your hormones shift, but can be supported with the right rhythm. Your prostate ages, but can remain healthy with gentle habits. Your pleasure doesn't disappear, it simply changes form. This isn't about giving up. It's about growing wiser in how you care for the body that's carried you through a lifetime. Chapter 5. The psychology of pleasure in later life. Why your brain matters as much as your body. By now, you've learned that your body changes with age. Your hormones shift. Your prostate swells. Your nerves slow down. But here's the part that most men overlook. Pleasure doesn't start in your pelvis. It starts in your mind. And the truth is, many older men carry silent burdens in their minds. Burdens that shape or sabotage their most private moments. In this chapter, we're going to explore the hidden emotional blocks that impact pleasure, how aging changes the way we see ourselves sexually, why expectation and shame destroy performance, and how to rebuild confidence, even if your body isn't what it used to be. You're not 30 anymore, and that's okay. Let's face it, you're not as quick to rise. You might take longer to finish, and your desire might not be there on command. But here's the lie that many men internalize. If I'm not performing like I used to, I must be broken. That thought is poison, because performance isn't the goal. Connection is, awareness is, relief, joy, grounding. These are the real wins now. Doctor's perspective. When I talk to older patients who feel less like a man, I often ask, what makes you a man? Speed or strength of character? Volume or the ability to feel deeply and be present? They pause, because no one ever asked them that before. The silent weight of shame and isolation. Let's be honest, masturbation is still taboo for many. Even at 65, 70, or 80, some men still carry shame from upbringing, religion, culture, or past relationships. So when changes begin, less sensitivity, delayed climax, softer erections, they don't talk about it. They just withdraw. They feel embarrassed, even in private. And that emotional friction causes physical shutdown. It's called the anxiety loop. 1. You expect failure. 2. Your body hesitates. 3. You try harder. 4. It gets worse. 5. You feel defeated. 6. Repeat. Doctor's tip. Break the loop by removing the scorecard. There is no grade. There is only experience. Whether it takes 5 minutes or 50, whether you climax or not, it's still your body trying to feel. And that's a win. The power of touch without the finish line. In younger years, solo pleasure was often goal-driven. Climax, done, move on. But in older years, the journey becomes more powerful than the outcome. Touch becomes therapy. Connection becomes calming. And climax, if it comes, is just one piece of a much bigger experience. Mindful pleasure practice. Try this one night. Set aside 30 minutes. Light a candle or use soft light. Play calming music. Breathe deeply. Explore your body, not just your genitals. Focus on what feels good, not where you're supposed to go. You might feel awkward at first, but many men report feeling more relaxed, more in tune, and more satisfied than they ever expected. This is called sensate self-focus, a therapeutic technique used to retrain the mind-body connection, especially after trauma or dysfunction. It works at any age. Self-talk. The words you use shape the experience. I can't do this like I used to. I'm not a real man anymore. This is pathetic. These are common thoughts and they're more damaging than you think. Why? Because the brain doesn't separate emotion from sensation. If you feel ashamed, your nervous system constricts. If you feel stressed, arousal is suppressed. If you feel like you're failing, the body short-circuits before pleasure can even build. Try saying instead, "My body is changing, and I'm learning how to care for it. This is my time to feel good, there's no pressure." Every part of this experience is valuable, with or without climax. Slowness is not weakness, it's wisdom. This isn't positive thinking fluff. It's neuroplasticity. Your brain listens to your words and your body follows. Intimacy isn't lost, it evolves. Many men think solo pleasure is less than partnered sex, or that being alone means they're no longer sexually relevant. But here's a truth most people miss. Touch and intimacy don't have to involve another person. They can come from your own hands, your own breath, your own presence. And when you learn to be at peace with that, whether single, widowed, divorced, or partnered, you reclaim your power. Doctor's reflection. I've seen men in their 80s, previously ashamed, light up when they realize, this is still mine. I don't need anyone's permission to feel good, to connect, or to be alive in my body. And that shift? That's freedom. Recap for Chapter 5. Aging changes your body but also your psychology. Performance pressure, shame, and silence shut down pleasure. Slowness, self-respect, and presence open the door again. Your mind is the engine. Train it to support, not sabotage your experience. Every touch, every breath, every moment of attention is healing. Chapter 6. Real stories. Real lessons. What my patients taught me about pleasure, mistakes, and recovery. After 60. You've heard the science. You've seen the risks. But nothing hits home like a story. Because sometimes, it takes hearing another man's journey to truly understand our own. Over the past 30 years, I've worked with thousands of older men each with a unique relationship to their bodies, their shame, their habits, and their healing. Here are 5 of their stories. Each one changed the way I practice medicine, and they just might change the way you see yourself. Story 1. Carl. The infection that nearly broke me. Age, 77. Issue, burning, urgency, and late-night leakage. Belief. I thought I had cancer. Carl came into my clinic pale, anxious, and convinced something terrible was happening. For weeks, he'd felt discomfort after urination and pain around climax. After ruling out prostate cancer and infections, the real cause was shockingly simple. He was consistently masturbating with a full bladder. As men age, the bladder loses elasticity, and the urethra narrows, meaning pressure builds fast. Carl had unknowingly created the perfect storm for urinary tract irritation. We adjusted his habits, always voiding before stimulation, using warm compresses after, reducing pressure and frequency. Within 2 weeks, the burning vanished. Within 2 months, his fear did too. Lesson. Sometimes, a small habit hides behind a big symptom, and fear grows fastest in silence. Story 2. Henry. I trained my body into a corner. Age 69. Issue. No response to partner touch. Belief. I thought I lost interest. Henry loved his wife, but for 2 years, he felt nothing when she touched him. No arousal. No sensation. Just numbness. It turns out, he had developed what's often referred to as death grip syndrome. Years of solo activity using intense grip and fast rhythm had rewired his nervous system. He could only respond to extreme stimulation and nothing else. His wife thought it was her fault. He thought he was broken. But neither were true. We built a desensitization plan. No solo activity for 30 days. Gradual reintroduction of touch with soft pressure. Sensate focus exercises with his wife. Counseling to repair the emotional distance. 6 months later, Henry walked in beaming. We held each other last night. It felt like the first time again. Lesson. Your body adapts to what you give it. Be careful what you teach it to need. Story 3. Tom. I thought it would just go away. Age 74. Issue. Chronic pelvic discomfort. Belief. Pain is just part of getting older. Tom had suffered in silence for nearly a year. Dull aches, pressure behind the scrotum, discomfort during bowel movements. He kept masturbating through the pain, assuming it was temporary. But the more he ignored it, the worse it got. By the time he came in, he had full-blown chronic prostatitis, a condition that takes months, sometimes years, to fully reverse. We placed him on anti-inflammatory medication, prostate massage therapy, breathwork and pelvic floor relaxation, temporary abstinence. Tom's healing was slow, but what hurt more was the regret. I wasted a year because I was too proud to ask. He told me once, eyes watering. Lesson. Real strength isn't pushing through pain. It's knowing when to pause. Story 4. Walter. The tool that backfired. Age 68. Issue. Tearing and prolonged swelling. Belief. If it works, it must be fine. Walter had created a homemade device to help with stimulation. For years, it worked. Until one day, it didn't. He arrived in my office with a painful tear, inflammation, and a fear that something was permanently damaged. Turns out, a microinjury had developed into a bacterial infection due to aging skin and delayed immune response. Healing was much slower. We treated him aggressively, but more importantly, we had a conversation he'd never had with a doctor. We discussed safe tools versus unsafe improvisation, skin health after 60, why being clever sometimes causes harm. Today, Walter uses only certified, body-safe aids. He journals his physical response after each session, and he's found peace in simplicity. Lesson. Your body is not a testing lab. Respect it like you would someone you love. Story 5. Dennis. The morning pain I didn't understand. Age 73. Issue. Lower back and pelvic soreness. Belief. Maybe I'm just sleeping wrong. Dennis was healthy, active, and alert. But every morning, he woke up sore in his pelvis and lower spine. It wasn't until we mapped his nightly habits that we discovered the real issue. He was masturbating while lying down, then immediately falling asleep. No hydration, no movement, no post-activity recovery. This caused pelvic congestion, blood pooling, pressure retention, and tension in the muscles surrounding the prostate. We made a simple adjustment. After climax, he walked for 10 minutes, drank a full glass of water, did 3 minutes of deep belly breathing. Within 5 days, his soreness disappeared. Within 3 weeks, his energy returned in the mornings. Lesson. It's not just what you do, but what you do after that matters. Final reflection from Chapter 6. These men didn't fail. They simply didn't know. No one ever taught them that their older bodies needed different rules, that their pain wasn't weakness, that their shame could be replaced with clarity and choice. And the truth is, you don't have to repeat their mistakes. You can choose awareness over assumption, self-care over secrecy, and wisdom over willpower. Chapter 7. The 5 most dangerous myths about masturbation in old age, and the truth you deserve to hear. By now, you've probably realized this isn't just a conversation about sex. It's a conversation about truth, health, and freedom, especially after 60. Unfortunately, many older men live under the weight of old myths. Misinformation passed down from childhood, religion, locker rooms, or outdated science. These myths don't just confuse people. They hurt people. They create shame, delay treatment, and lead to behaviors that do more harm than good. So let's clear the fog. Myth 1. Masturbation is for young men. At my age, it's inappropriate. Truth. Masturbation is a normal, healthy, and often therapeutic part of life at any age. In fact, studies show that men over 65 who engage in solo sexual activity report better mood regulation. It can help maintain pelvic muscle tone and prostate circulation. It supports sleep, blood pressure control, and stress relief. Your age doesn't disqualify you from experiencing pleasure. It just changes how your body experiences it. Doctor's perspective. There is nothing immature about knowing your body. The real sign of maturity? Caring for yourself in a way that respects your biology. Myth 2. If I don't climax, the whole thing was a failure. Truth. Climax is one outcome, not the only goal. As you age, orgasm may take longer. It may be softer. Sometimes it may not come at all. But here's the thing. Your body still benefits from stimulation. Your mind still benefits from presence. Your nervous system still gets positive feedback. Your muscles and circulation still stay active. It's not a failure, it's a new form of success. Doctor's advice. Treat pleasure like a walk, not a race. If you feel better, calmer, more connected afterward, you won. Myth 3. Touching myself is shameful, especially now that I'm older. Truth. Shame is a cultural script, not a biological reality. No system in your body reacts to shame. Your skin, nerves, prostate, heart, they don't judge you. They respond to care, not guilt. What's harmful is neglect, not attention. Many men suppress desire out of shame, and that leads to repressed stress, sleep issues, prostate congestion, relationship confusion. Doctor's reminder. You have every right to explore your own body. Not because society says it's okay, but because your body still belongs to you. Myth 4. If I'm still masturbating, I must be lonely or sexually broken. Truth. Masturbation is not a sign of loneliness or dysfunction. It's a form of autonomy, self-connection, and sometimes stress management. It doesn't mean you don't value intimacy with others. It means you still have a relationship with your body, and that's something to celebrate. Many men in healthy relationships continue solo pleasure as a form of self-soothing, as a complement to partnered intimacy, as a way to stay in touch with their own rhythms. Clinical note. You're not broken. You're alive. And being in tune with yourself is a gift, not a flaw. Myth 5. Masturbation weakens the prostate or drains my energy. Truth. The act itself is not harmful. The way it's done determines the outcome. Done with a full bladder, excessive pressure, no recovery, or while ignoring inflammation. Yes, masturbation can lead to trouble. But when practiced mindfully, it supports prostate fluid movement, preventing stagnation. It boosts dopamine and oxytocin, improving mood. It reduces tension, especially in the pelvic floor and lower back. Doctor's caution. Don't blame the act, blame the lack of adaptation. When done gently, safely, and with awareness, solo pleasure supports your health. Final recap. What to remember about these myths. Myth reality. Only for young men, still appropriate and healthy in old age. No climax. Equals failure, connection, and comfort are valid outcomes. It's shameful. It's personal care, not taboo. I'm broken. You're adapting to a new phase of pleasure. It weakens me. Done right. It protects your prostate and mind. This is your body. This is your time. You deserve the truth. Because the right information shared without fear or judgment can change not just closing. What growing older teaches us about self-respect, gentle strength, and private joy. Dear friend, if you've made it this far, I want to thank you not just for your attention, but for your courage. Because choosing to learn about your body, your health, and your pleasure at this stage of life is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect there is. Masturbation is not shameful. It is not just for the young. It's a natural, private expression of connection. And like every other part of your health, it deserves to be adjusted, protected, and understood as you grow older. Aging doesn't take pleasure away from you. It simply changes the rhythm. Yes, it may take more time. Yes, you may need to move more gently. But none of that means you're broken. It just means your body is speaking in a new language. And you're wise enough to listen. You're not less of a man for slowing down. You're more of one for choosing care over chaos, presence over pressure, and awareness over autopilot. Final words from your doctor. Sexual health in older age isn't about performance, it's about preservation. It's about freedom, dignity, and keeping the deepest parts of yourself alive even in private moments. If something in this video resonated with you, keep it. If it lifted a weight off your shoulders, share it. And if you're ready to honor your body, even in the quietest corners of your life, start tonight. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Be strong, be kind to yourself, and never stop treating your body like someone worth listening to. You are